If your wife isn't chasing you anymore, if it feels like you're the one constantly running after her while she's drifting further away, I want you to hear me loud and clear. It doesn't have to stay that way. Most men make the mistake of thinking their wife pulled back because she doesn't love them anymore, or because she's cold, or even because she's broken somehow. That's not it. What really happened is simple. You stopped living in a way that made her want to lean forward toward you. And here's the good news. You can fix it. You can flip the script, and you don't need to play games. You don't need to manipulate, and you definitely don't need to beg. You just need to understand and live by two principles that, once mastered, make a wife feel like chasing you again is the most natural thing in the world. Now, before I break them down, let me quickly introduce myself so you know where this is coming from. My name is Dr. John DeBach. I've been working as a couples counselor and relationship coach for nearly a decade and a half. I've sat with thousands of men, heard their stories, seen their marriages crumble, and also seen them rebuild stronger than ever. I've been featured on national TV. I've published books. I've built a following of over 1 million people on social media in just the last year alone. And most importantly, I live what I teach. I've been married for 15 years myself. I've got 4 beautiful children, and I know firsthand what it takes to keep the spark alive. I'm not selling you anything in this video. This is just free advice I'm giving because I've watched too many men lose their marriages unnecessarily. So let's get into it. The 2 principles you need to understand are these. Number 1, you must learn to show kindness and generosity without expecting anything in return. And number 2, you must find and live your purpose outside of the marriage. That's it. Just 2 things, but don't confuse simple with easy. Most men never master either of these, which is why they get stuck in dead, lifeless marriages. Let's dive deep into the first one. Generosity without expectation. Think about how most men operate. They do something nice for their wife, but in the back of their mind, they're hoping for something in return. Maybe they want to thank you. Maybe they're hoping she'll compliment them. Maybe they're thinking, if I do this, maybe we'll have sex tonight. And when that doesn't happen, they get frustrated, sometimes even resentful. But what does that communicate to her? It says, I didn't really do this out of love. I did it as a trade. And nothing kills attraction faster than a trade. Women are incredibly perceptive. They can sniff out whether your kindness is genuine or whether you're fishing for recognition. And when they feel like you're fishing, they pull back. They stop leaning in. They don't feel safe to receive because they know a bill is coming due later. Now let's flip it. When you really give without expecting anything back, it communicates abundance. It says, I'm strong, I'm secure, I don't need your reaction to validate me. That's incredibly attractive. It makes her feel like she can trust you. It makes her feel like she can relax. And the moment a woman feels safe, she starts to lean forward again. Let me give you some examples. Take something simple, like buying flowers. Most guys only buy flowers on anniversaries or Valentine's Day or birthday, and when they do, it's usually loaded with expectation. They're hoping for a big reaction. They're waiting to hear thank you. They want to see your face light up. But what if you did it differently? What if you walked in on a random Tuesday with a small bouquet, not extravagant, not showy, and you handed it to her with a little note that simply said, thought this might make you smile. That's it. No joke attached, no hidden message, no expectation, just a simple gift. That kind of gesture goes straight to the heart. Or let's take something even smaller. The dishes. You eat dinner, you clear the plates, and you do the dishes. And then you move on. You don't say, hey, did you notice I cleaned the kitchen? You don't make a sarcastic remark like, look at me helping you out. You just do it. You act like it's the most natural thing in the world. That's powerful. Why? Because it shows her that your generosity isn't tied to recognition. It's just who you are. Now, here's the analogy I use with my clients. Generosity is like planting seeds. Every time you do something kind, you're planting a seed in your marriage. If you plant a seed and then dig it up every day to see if it's growing, you kill it. That's what happens when you demand recognition for every little thing you do. You're digging up the seed. But if you plant it, water it, and leave it alone, it grows. Over time, you get a garden. That's how generosity works in marriage. You give, you walk away, and you let the seeds bloom. I had a client once who was desperate for his wife's affection. He was constantly doing things for her, but always with a comment attached. I fixed the sink for you. I picked up the groceries like you asked. I folded the laundry. Aren't you impressed? He thought he was providing his love, or proving it rather. But what she felt was pressure. It was like every act came with a receipt, and that made her pull away. When I told him to stop announcing his generosity, he resisted at first. He thought, if I don't point it out, she'll never notice. But he trusted me and tried it. Within weeks, his wife started reaching out to him again. She initiated hugs. She sat next to him on the couch. She leaned her head on his shoulder. What changed? He stopped digging up the seeds. He started giving without strings, and that created the safety she needed to move toward him again. This is the essence of generosity without expectation. It's not about grand gestures. It's about small, consistent acts that communicate love without keeping score. Bringing her coffee in the morning without saying a word about it. Picking up her favorite snack when you're out just because. Texting her something funny you know she'll appreciate, not something you hope will spark a deep conversation. Over time, these little things add up. They rebuild trust. They remind her why she was drawn to you in the first place. Now, let's move to the second principle, finding your purpose outside the relationship. This one is just as crucial. And here's the brutal truth. If your wife feels like she's the center of your entire universe, she will eventually feel suffocated. Hollywood sells us the idea that true love means making your partner your whole world. But in reality, no one wants to be a man's whole world. It's too much pressure. It kills attraction. Why? Because when a man has no life beyond his wife, he becomes dependent on her. Dependent for validation, dependent for meaning, dependent for happiness. That dependence makes her feel trapped. It's not romantic, it's smothering. What women actually crave is a man who is lit up by life, who's chasing something bigger than her, who stands for something beyond the relationship. When you live with purpose, you become magnetic. Your wife sees you differently. She sees strength. She sees resilience. She sees a man who can weather storms because he's anchored to something larger than himself. And that makes her lean in. I'll share a story. I had a client who was a pilot. Great marriage early on, but over time things got stale. He realized that while he still enjoyed flying, he wasn't doing anything meaningful with it beyond his job. And he decided to start training new pilots on the weekends. Nothing fancy, just sharing his knowledge. Suddenly he was alive again. He'd come home buzzing with energy, telling stories about his students, laughing, excited. And you know what his wife said? She said, I feel like I got my husband back. She looked at him with admiration again. Why? Because he wasn't just her husband anymore. He was a man on a mission. And it doesn't have to be flying. Okay, I've seen this work with men in every walk of life. One man started volunteering at a homeless shelter. Another began coaching his son's soccer team. Another picked up painting, something he loved as a kid but abandoned when life got busy. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that it lights you up and connects you to something beyond yourself. Here's the analogy I like to give. Your marriage is like a fire. For a fire to keep burning, it needs oxygen. If you cover it up and give it no air, it suffocates. Your purpose outside the marriage is the oxygen. Without it, the fire dies. With it, the fire roars. That's why men who make their wife their only purpose watch the fire die out, while men who chase a bigger mission see their marriages come alive. I had another client who had fallen into the trap of making his wife everything. Every decision, every ounce of energy revolved around her. At first, she liked it. She thought it was sweet, but over time, she felt trapped. She lost respect for him. She even told me in a session I had with her, I feel like I can't breathe. I pushed him to find something he cared about outside the marriage. And he resisted, saying, but isn't she supposed to be my number one priority? I explained that making her the only priority was actually destroying the relationship. So he finally agreed to try. He got involved in a local program mentoring at-risk youth. Now, at first, just a couple hours a week, but it lit him up. He'd come home full of stories, full of purpose. His wife noticed immediately. She told me later, I don't know what's changed, but I'm attracted to him again. Well, what changed was simple. He had oxygen in his life again. And that gave their marriage room to breathe. Purpose isn't about ignoring your wife. It's not about abandoning your family. It's about bringing energy back into the relationship by living fully. It shows her that you're not just here to take up space. You're here to contribute, to build, to make a difference. That kind of energy is irresistible. So let's bring this all together. If you want your wife to chase you again, stop chasing her. Stop begging for scraps of attention. Stop trying to earn love by keeping score. Instead, live generously without expecting anything back. Plant seeds and let them grow. And then find your purpose outside the marriage. Light yourself up. Bring oxygen back into the fire. When you do these two things, everything changes. Your wife starts leaning in again. She starts initiating touch. She looks at you with admiration, not because you tricked her, not because you manipulated her, but because you became magnetic again. You became the man she fell in love with, the man she wants to chase. And if you're listening to this and you know deep down you need more help, if you're tired of trying to figure this out on your own, I have a very private and exclusive men's group where we dive into issues like this one-on-one. It's not for everyone, and I'm not pushing it on you, but if you're serious about becoming the kind of man your wife can't help but chase, the information is in the description below. Thanks so much.